Welcome back, everybody, to the Design, Build, Hunt podcast, which is presented by Whitetail Partners. Today, we are talking about why your postseason planning and your season for 2026 preparation starts right now. All right, Sam, we just got done recording an episode on those last minute things that you've got to be getting done on your property, right? For the guy who is behind the eight ball, had a busy summer, he's now shifting back into deer mode and he's in a panic. Well, in this episode, we're kind of flipping to the far other extreme. We're trying to plan ahead for future seasons. So we're not even maybe thinking about deer season 25 at this point. We're thinking about deer season 26 and how do we set ourselves up for success right now. So, Sam, I want you to talk a little bit. You're a really methodical guy. Like from the first time I met you, I actually went back last night and listened to the first podcast you and I ever recorded together for the Wisconsin Sportsman. We were sitting in the basement of my house at the time. And
good memory.
Yeah, we were in the kids' playroom, which I called my podcast studio, which was awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. So, but now here we are. And I want to, even from then, I could tell you're a guy that thinks ahead. You're a planner, right? You're very organized. So talk to me about the importance, at least that you place on playing the long game and having a long-term focus when it comes to your property and how maybe that informs what you're doing right now.
Yeah, thanks. And what comes to mind for me are these guys that I've signed up in the last few months that they're going to be clients for design in December. They're guys that came to me and said, "Hey, I just bought this property. I want to get going on it. What are the things I need to do now?" We're already into green up. We're already into, hey, we're talking about food plots and getting going. And what do we do? And for these guys, we did take some time and do some virtual consulting. But I'm an advocate of planning that time to be on site right immediately following hunting season. It's the best sign. It's all these things, right? So for these guys, it's, hey, you can have an enjoyable season. We picked out quality hunting spots for them. So it's taking this season and utilizing it for the sake of design and planning that will then, ensue after the season. So it's, it starts with picking out some good locations, some of that preliminary scouting. It could be e-scouting, and then you go out and confirm that spot and put a stand. Maybe you're picking some stands that have locations that you can have more observation and just see how the deer move about the property, and also different times. Camera locations, load that timber up with cameras and pick the trails and all those things. So it's gathering information and seeing the property. Don't rush into, hey, I need to develop habitat and do these projects and start cutting trees and all these things here in summer or early fall, as at the time this podcast rolls out. That's something you want to avoid. You want to say, I just want to see what's going on. I want to be careful to not pull too many triggers on implementation, and I want to start gathering information for that design.
Right. And how often, and this maybe is a rhetorical question, but how often do you get to a location where you roll in and you see a permanent blind and they say, yeah, I put that up, 3 months ago. And, or maybe they cut, I remember going to a property that they had clear cut a section and were telling me about the timber there before. And I was like, I kind of wish maybe we had done this a little different, or I wish this wooden box blind that's now, concreted into the ground. I kind of wish this wasn't here. I wish it was 100 yards back up the pasture. One client in particular is kind of sticking out there. And, we were able to make those changes, but it took a lot more work because of things that have been done, because it was just kind of like, hey, I feel like I need something, I feel like I need something out there. Something needs to go in. What do you wish, or maybe can you walk me through a general timeline? So for the guys that are, kind of feel like they're maybe throwing spaghetti at the wall when it comes to their property, what's a general timeline of a year? And you don't have to detail, but like January to December, what does that timeline need to look like as far as like phasing in some of the habitat work that we're doing? Because I think that's going to inform what comes next.
Yeah, no, that's a great setup. So when the hunting is done, right? And I say that with uh, punctuation to say, like, hey, when everybody around you is no longer in the woods, because the last thing you want to do is say, well, I'm done. I'm going to start going for a walk, and it's muzzleloader season, and you just sent the buck next door. So,
Right.
but when everything is done, and for most of us here, and I'll say in the north or in Wisconsin specifically, that's December after the gun seasons, the firearms seasons are over with. We are looking for that first day we start to go walk the timber. So that first walk is the best walk, in my opinion. You're seeing exactly how they were using that land during the hunting season. For those who have been working on their property for some time, this is where you see where your weaknesses are. Where are deer moving that I maybe don't want them to move? How do I shore that up? Or for somebody who just bought a property and is looking to do their design, it's eye-opening. Oh, this is where they're bedding. I didn't think they'd be here. This is where they're moving through. I didn't realize there was this pinch point here. And again, too, at that time of year, all the foliage is gone. The trails are super heavy. You can see every little thing. The scrapes and the rubs are fresh. That is the best time. And for us, that's the start of consulting season. So we say, as soon as the hunting is done through green up is some of the best time to walk your land, whether you're doing it yourself or you're doing it with one of our Whitetail Partner Network people to go out there and see what that property looks like and fully understand it. When you can fully understand it, then you're able to work toward that design. So the design season is winter and spring. Okay. And then once we have that design, we look to implementation. Again, we always make a plan before we build something. And that plan is something that we're going to utilize as a reference throughout the course of the implementation. There are things that we want to get after before green up. So now we're getting into spring. You know, the snow's gone in the north. We're starting to get after projects. There are priorities, and every month we have our priority list that we're pushing out, and that is the timber work, getting everything done before green up. Because once you get to summer, it's more of the field work and food plots and some of those other things. So the timber work, all the implementation you can with that. Getting into spring, we're talking water holes, getting scrapes going, stands up. Getting into summer, we're getting into food plot season and putting cameras up. We got the pictures of the velvet bucks, and all of a sudden, here we are. It's early fall, and we're starting to talk about hunting, and we have last minute details. If you missed it, go check the prior podcast. We just talked about those. And then we're getting into season, and it's really hands off of the property. We're starting to utilize it, hunt it, and see how the deer are using it, and hopefully finding success with it. And then the process starts again. We're getting into that first walk. How did the deer use the property? What can I adjust? And it's an iteration again and again. One last thing I want to say on this is as we go on in time, everything goes faster. A season just clips by faster and faster. And what I would say to that is, don't get in a rush to do something you'll regret later. It is far better to get after, just enjoying your season so that you can take that appropriate step for the planning, the growing seasons, and do things at the right time so you're not wasting your time and money.
Right. Right. I think, right now we're starting to see that uptick, right? We're coming out of summer. Folks are back from vacation. My kids are already back in school here in the South. I know you guys have a little bit of time left before that really happens, but guys' minds are beginning to drift back to deer hunting where they've been, tied up with family and having fun during the summer. Now they're starting to think about deer, starting to get more calls, starting to get more emails from new clients who, we haven't worked with in the past. Why do you think now is the best time for them to call? There are probably a lot of guys who listen to this podcast and say, you know what, I should call them. I should have a conversation. Why is now probably the best time for them to just go ahead and give you a call? At least have that preliminary conversation.
Yeah, and I always flip that conversation too when somebody calls me and says, I'm super late. And I say, no, you're not. You're super early. That's the best time, and getting after these guys to say, hey, look, you have the advantage of doing everything right now,
Yep.
and we have that, like that, if we're going to sign them up and do a consulting visit and planning session and all those things come that post hunting season time frame. Right now, we're helping them pick stand sites. Hey, this is where I would go. I just sent one out the other day where I put basically what I would call like a 25% design together, saying, here's some basics of what's going on with your property without me even seeing it. Go out there. You definitely want to get a stand in these 3 spots so you can see what's going on. Some of those early ideas so that they can observe and have an enjoyable season. I've had guys that have killed bucks doing that before I even got to their property. That was really exciting for them and for me, and then we get into what's now a full design, and we already have the backbone established and some of the concepts, so that we're walking into it, we're already talking about how the design takes it to the next level during that consulting visit, which they already have a jump on. So I like that. And then also talking growing seasons and time frames and all those things, all that stuff that they need to do to pre-plan coming into spring and into summer, and getting all those chores done in order. They're not behind, they're ahead. And the best visits are that first 4 to 6 weeks following the season, especially in the north before the snows set in too heavy. You're going to have a great look at your property.
Yeah, absolutely. And have your plan in hand when it's time to get rocking on
Right.
those habitat improvements, whether you're doing it yourself, whether you're having, contracting that out to us or whatever. You're ready to go as soon as Mother Nature will allow you to get in there and start getting the work done. You're going to maximize the amount of time you have, because let's face it, no matter who you are, you never feel like you have enough time to do all the things you wanted to do, all the habitat chores you were hoping to get to. And so the
Right.
more you can open up that window, the better off you're going to be. When it comes to, guys that call for the first time, I think, we've touched on it just a little bit, but if someone calls right now, what's going to be that process? Are they you're gonna just say, all right, great, here's how we would do it. I'll see you in January, or what can they expect from us this time of year?
Well, on any preliminary call that somebody contacts us for consultation and planning, it's going to be scoping out what's right for them. We don't have a canned system of, okay, you get this design package, this is the price. No, we're going to hear them out. Some folks, they maybe don't even want us out, or their budget isn't as such, and we're going to help them on a virtual design basis. We do that, some of that still, even though for the majority, it is the full on-site review. But we're going to customize that. If it's, some people just need some help on the property, getting the basics pulled together. Maybe it's a smaller property. In others, we have several hundred acres or thousands of acres even, where we're doing more substantial designs and bigger planning, and really outfitting these farms, and everything in between. So it's, first of all, developing a proposal for the design work we're going to do so that it fits what their needs are. So scoping that out is the first step. As it pertains to the timing, like I just said a minute ago, we might be helping them pick some things that they can be, how they can hunt the property, even if they're going in without a stand. They're going to go hunt it as if it was public land and bring in a saddle or a portable stand, and they're just going in and they're going to hunt. We have some great conversations of how they can do that, have a successful season and see things, and then come into that design side. Also, too, depending on the client, we're starting to talk about land management services. We might get into, hey, once this design is done, we can roll right into establishing that, building it out. And that's something that is, we've been doing more and more of, this turnkey management for folks, the design, the build, and getting them all set for the next season.
Yeah, and I think if that's something that's interesting to someone, those calendars are getting more and more condensed. It's more and more important, especially if you're thinking, hey, I'm one guy with a couple hundred acres. I don't think I can manage the load by myself. I think I need some help with that. Then it's even more important, I think, to make that call earlier. One of the things I like to do with guys is give them some homework. So we maybe scheduled you for January, right after season ends here. But you've got homework for the season. Here are the locations I'd like to see you hunting. And here's what I'd like to see you observing for specifically. I want to see, okay, we've got the top of this drainage. Where are deer? Are deer within bow range? Are they 100 yards down the drain just a little bit? Are they up top? Did they come in behind you? How are these terrain features playing out specifically where it is that you're hunting? Here are the things on the property, pay attention. Do you like this? Do you like this current layout? Do we need to think about finding a new access point or talking to this neighbor over here to see if we can come in from this direction? Can you build a relationship with that neighbor to where maybe they are more friendly to you, agreeing to them coming in? Can you work out some kind of deal with them? So a lot that you can be working on even beyond the hunting. It really is paying attention to what you're seeing out there, what you like about the property, because everyone's a little surprised. They buy a piece and there are things that are going to take you off guard. Some things you're going to like. Wow, I like this property way more than I thought. There are some things that are going to kind of frustrate you. Well, I didn't know my neighbor really likes to shoot at 4:30 every afternoon. That well, we've run into that one before, and it's there's a lot that can go into that, a lot that can inform what we're doing right now. So I've had folks who they call, they book, we schedule. A lot of that starts to happen in that November time frame, but they're often pretty surprised at how far out we end up having to book because they called in mid-November, and I'm saying, hey, I can make it in April, and they're like, oh my, I didn't anticipate that. So what are you doing with your client load, and how are you kind of staging some of those things out to accommodate those guys, and really maybe just an encouragement, like if you want to get on the calendar sooner, it's better.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's thankfully, it's a great thing for our business that we're booking further out, and we're also focusing on clients that want to put that much more into their property and do these full designs and full implementations. That's our business. We're driving towards that, and across all of our network members here, that's a common theme. My calendar's booked out more than it ever has been for the upcoming design season, and that's normal. That's a part of progression and what we're doing. But that it's not to say that we don't have room. We absolutely need and want to have new clients every year, but it is advantageous to be on the earlier end of that. So to your point, right now my December's full, but I'm booking January, and I'd be happy to add people, and that's still an optimal time to be out there. So, for those who are interested, start the conversation early, even if you're uncertain of the cost or the scope or these things. That's what that consultation call is about, to try and get that understanding of what's going on, and also balancing it too, and understanding how it'll save you time, how it'll save you money and effort by making good decisions and not going after things that you're uncertain of, working towards getting that plan right away.
Yeah, and that's probably a point that we don't quite touch on enough. Would be the time and money savings that you encounter just from having a second set of eyes and a good consultant come in.
And I want to hit that right on. A couple things. One, you mentioned earlier, like, hey, the blind placement or this or that. Jumping toward these more permanent setups right away. I want to encourage people to do a ghillie blind or even a pop-up blind. Like, do some of these situations where it's for this first season, try that out, see how it is before we put that blind in there. The blinds we use now, the permanent blinds, are easily moved and all that. But especially guys who are considering permanent blinds, to be cautious of that. And also, like on the savings end, I think about equipment too. I have guys who I haven't even met in person yet. We're going to be doing their consults here this December in their designs. But he's asking me a lot of questions about equipment. Should I get this? Should I get that? Is it worth doing? Oh, you can provide some of those services, so I shouldn't even need to buy this tractor. Whatever those things look like, helping them make decisions already about how they want to operate, what they feel is the right fit for their property, so they're not running out there and making purchasing decisions that they may not have otherwise made when they know the full picture.
Right. Absolutely. One of the big reasons, Sam, that we do this podcast is to get this information out there to people who may never end up calling us, right? Who may be maybe an on-site consultation is not right for them, for their situation, or whatever. What would you say to those guys as they're thinking ahead to 2026? What guidance would you give?
Well, the guidance doesn't change in terms of jumping to a conclusion, right? We don't want to go out there and do make a uninformed decision. Continue gathering information. We have tons of stuff on the website, the podcasts, even contacting our team to talk about budget type planning session. So that could be a 2-hour Q&A, that could be a virtual design, and getting a great understanding of their property, the things to look for. It's coaching, right? We're going to coach them to go out there and look for some of the things we would be looking for so that they can go out there and make informed decisions. They should follow that same process I described in the consulting time frame, that calendar. Observe during season, enjoy your season. That first walk, make it an important event. Go out there and document and understand what you're doing, or what the deer are doing rather. And from that, you will have a good amount of information that you can sit down and implement some of these design concepts and develop your own plan for your property.
Yeah, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. Yeah, it really is. We get done with deer season. I guess is where I'm going with this. We get done with deer season and we're tired. If maybe we've hunted hard, maybe we're ready to move on to other things. Maybe our minds are drifting. I know here in the South, we're already thinking about turkey season and bass fishing and a couple of other things that are right around the corner for us. You guys aren't quite ready for that yet at the end of deer season, but we can jump right into them, right? And but set aside the time, take a day, take a weekend, and spend it at your place. Take that walk, see what you can see, figure out what the deer are doing. Absolutely. All right. Last thing to kind of put a bow on all of this. One thing you'd encourage a guy, he's listening to this. He's like, you know what? I really don't feel like I've got a good plan. I don't feel like I've got a good direction for my property. What's his next step?
Call us. Let's talk. I mean, from the standpoint of we want to pull the veil down and say we're whatever. There's 9 of us here to help get the guy that's in his area and start that conversation. Even just basic, all the things we've talked about in a 10 or 15 minute conversation, we can apply them to the situation, all the criteria that guy has. Have that consultation call and just figure out what works. Maybe one of these services we have isn't the best fit for them after describing that and talking about pricing and those things, but maybe we can send them in the right direction of resources and otherwise, other things that can help them. We're not here to be separated and for a small part of the population. We want to serve all these people, whether it's through our free content, virtual content, or virtual consulting rather, or the on-site and land management and the full package. So there's a fit for everybody there, and don't hesitate to reach out if there's something we can do to help.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, if you need some help on your property, you want a good plan, or at least you just want some direction. Maybe you want someone else to talk to and discuss about it. Give us a call. Go to our website. You can find us there. We've got a submission page where you can just give us your information. We're going to give you a call. We are not going to hound you to death. We are not going to spam you with 10,000 emails. We're going to just reach out and ask you, how can we help? What do you think is the best way for us to help you out, given your scenario, your property, your situation, and your goals? Well, Sam, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. And folks, thank you for listening.